On this week's episode of the Program Guys podcast, the guys make their Super Bowl picks between the Bengals and Rams. We go through the NFL coaching carousel and also talk about Kyler Murray ghosting the Arizona Cardinals. Winfrey wins the Senior Bowl MVP. Brent Venables makes it up to the media for 90 minutes, and we name our favorite just add water players in OU history. Ryan tells us to watch Ozark, and Pat gives us his Heisman favorite. All right, let's get started.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
And welcome in, everybody. Episode number 5 of the Program Guys podcast. Mason Prince here, as always, with Matt Gann, Ryan Tyson, Mark Hall, and Patrick Hertzberger. Mason's coming to you live from Monroe, Louisiana. I'm on the road, boys.
Love it.
If my Wi-Fi sucks, and that's what we're dealing with. Before we get started, I really need to know. Matt obviously wasn't here last week, but Matt, you obviously listened to the show last week. I really want to get your thoughts on Mark's point about Samaje Perine. What did you have to think on that?
I mean, here's the thing. Samaje, I'd rather have his partner in crime, Joe Mixon. That's all I got to say.
No, but like going to, about Mark's point about like what Samaje did in that game. Like what did you think about what he said? I thought Patrick had a really great point. What did you think?
Same.
It's hard to say because I want to agree with everybody, but at the same time, I don't. So,
ladies and gentlemen, Matt Gann was not on the show last week, and he obviously didn't listen. So, shout out to Matt Gann.
It was about the West Virginia game, Gann, where Samaje that was his breakout game. Remember?
No, it wasn't.
Again, nobody said anything about Samaje.
It absolutely was.
Nobody said anything about it.
Well, fair point. Been busy with work. I watched the interview, which was great. Just haven't been able to watch the rest of the pod. So sorry about it, boys. Been busy.
It's all right. Just
no excuses.
Just want to get you on record as one of the 5 members of this show who doesn't listen to the show. Gotta love it. All right, guys, big week this week. It's Super Bowl week. Super Bowl week. We're through to the final game of the NFL season. Pretty sad.
Very sad.
It's a Super Bowl that guarantee you nobody picked at the beginning of the year. And it should be a good one. Joe Burrow taking on the Rams. Bengals versus Rams in LA. Rams 4.5-point favorite as of Monday night. So reminder, before we make our picks, Mark is in no way in danger. The only people in danger of getting a spray tan are Patrick, Matt, Ryan, and me. I am in last place. I am 1 game back. So all I need is for one of those 3 to lose and for me to win. And then we're tied. And then it goes to the tiebreaker.
And Mason, I just want to jump in here. And you've obviously targeted one of us.
I have. I have.
So it's going to be between 2 people.
I don't think so.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll get to it. But guys, it should be a good game. Let's go ahead and get to our picks. Matt, we're going to start with you. Who you got, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't think anyone thought these would be the 2 Super Bowl teams playing each other here in about a week. I think we knew the Rams had a good chance, but going through a tough NFC. But I do have the Rams end up winning. The line is weird, 4.5. It's hard to pick if they can get over that line. They've had a lot of close games other than that first Cardinals game where they blew out Kyler Murray, which I know we're going to get to here in a little bit later on the pod. But the Bengals have kept it close, obviously, in every game they've played so far. So I do have Cincinnati covering the 4.5, and I have the Rams winning 31-27 is the score that I'm predicting.
That's right, folks. Matt made a good point there. We're going to say our score prediction as well for a tiebreaker if we get to that point. That we talked about that confusion last week. Mark, who you got?
So I am taking the Rams to cover -4.5. They're technically the away team, but they're at home. The game is being played in their stadium. It's a dream come true for the Rams, who really did go all in for this season. And I challenge y'all to show me one matchup past Jamar Chase, who might not even be the best, winning his matchup against Jalen Ramsey, where the Bengals are better, more experienced, more ready for this game than the Rams are. Maybe Joe Burrow, maybe he really just is that dude, right? But I'm going to take the experience, take the fact that Sean McVay has been there, and I'm going to take it by 4.5 points. Give me the Rams.
Okay.
And the score prediction, Mark?
Yeah. Thank you, Pat.
Good call. 41-28 Rams.
Ooh,
Not even close.
Mark is
scoring.
No, I
very
like it.
confident. Mark is
I
very
like it.
confident. All right. I have Cincy to cover plus 4.5. I believe in Joe Burrow. I believe in this Bengals team. They have the idea that no one really believes in them, even though they're really good, and they are a very good team. Them being here is not a fluke. They beat really good teams on their way here. And I have the Bengals plus 4.5 and give me 27-24 in a Rams win, though. I have the Bengals to cover, but I have the Rams to win. I think the Rams are too good. I think, like Mark pointed out, you got to show me a matchup that they win or that the Bengals can win other than the Jamar Chase one. And I think that the Rams are the better team, and I think the Rams are going to win.
And to be clear, Jamar Chase is still a rookie going up against the best man-to-man corner in football in Jalen Ramsey. So that might, that's a wash at best.
You're right.
Yeah, but Jalen's not going to follow him everywhere. He's going to play in the slot, so he's not going to be on the entire game. We all know Jalen doesn't cover one guy the entire game.
We'll see,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah, we talked about that last week too, Matt, but you wouldn't know. Ryan, go ahead, buddy.
All right, guys. I have Cincy plus 4.5. But like Mason, I also have the Rams winning. Overall, I think the Rams are the better team, but that 4.5 line is a little wonky. And I think if we've seen anything this postseason, we've seen a lot of game-winning field goals. And I think that's absolutely what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. It's just, it's just destined, I think. So I got 24-21 Rams win, Cincy covering. And mostly my reason for this is because very scientific, but every time I have bet against Cincy, I have lost. So, you got to go with the universe. And I think the universe is just telling me that the Cincy team is destined to cover this game.
I think that's not bad. Pat, what you got, man?
Look, I made my pick after I saw who Mason made his pick. So I knew I was at risk for the spray tan, and I'm okay with it. I moved to Southern California, and I picked my team.
Patrick,
and that
I'm
is the
sorry.
Rams.
You were at risk no matter what. I was going to pick against you no matter who you picked. Do you understand?
Maybe you would have changed it.
I could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman wearing white gloves. I will pick whoever you're going against. I don't believe a word I say. All I believe in is picking against you. Go ahead, Pat.
Good. I love it. No, I think the Rams are a better team, like Mark said. I got the Rams. I think they're gonna win this, and it's not gonna be an easy game, but I think they're better.
I like it, Pat. I like that you're confident in the Rams. You've been a Rams guy through and through for the whole time.
Absolutely. Also, I would like to note it's really tough with these two quarterbacks. I mean, there's a lot of people out there rooting for Joe Burrow, but Stafford's a great guy. And he deserves this just as much, in my opinion.
I know. I agree, Pat.
Thank you.
Just to recap, because of the picks, the way the math's going to work out, Ryan and Matt and Mark are now safe. So it's me and Pat, mano y mano.
Well, if Ryan and Matt lose with you, then what
It would be
happens?
Mason.
It's just Mason. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm
But
really
then
hoping for a tie,
then I'm
though.
second place though, which means I know football better than Ryan and Matt.
That's
we
not
already
true.
know you know
That
football
is
better
true.
than everybody.
I know.
No,
that's true.
we
I
know
did-
that
I
from
did.
fantasy football,
Yeah, we
Patrick.
did,
Don't
we
worry.
did. You're right.
Your
Yeah.
belt is secure.
That's right.
I would
That's
love
right.
to come second in this as well. It'd be great.
That would be great. Guys, we had the NFL coaching carousel keeps moving on. Some new hires this past week. Miami Dolphins announcing Mike
Ends up,
McDaniel.
baby.
Mike McDaniel as their head coach. Vikings hire Kevin O'Connell. Jaguars
Oh.
hire Doug Peterson. What? Sorry, Ryan.
I just said skull.
Oh, Skull. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Jaguars hired Doug Peterson. Saints hired Dennis Allen. And I forgot this, but Pats Texans hired Lovie Smith.
Yeah, don't forget it.
Out of that list, let's just go NFL wide. Who do you guys like out of the new hires for any team in the NFL? Out of those or the rest? Whoever can start.
I didn't immediately like the McDaniel hire for the Dolphins. I told you guys there's a Pete Davidson quality to him that I just cannot get over. It's something about the way he looks and the way he talks. And at that point, it's just about him. So I wasn't on board at first, but he's super smart. He gave a really great press conference answer that I encourage everyone to go look up about authenticity, about being yourself and explaining to these guys that my job is to make you more successful. And when you can do that and get that across, their buy-in increases. And I think that with an attitude like that, even though he seems a little Pete Davidson-y, he'll get guys to buy in. And he has worked with Kyle Shanahan the whole way. He was on the Falcons 2016 staff that made it to the Super Bowl. He coached wide receivers that year, and that offense works. So if he can get everything past the X's and O's, I think that's going to be a slam dunk hire.
Ryan, what about your Vikings? How do you feel?
So, the Vikings have been through a trip the past, couple weeks with the Harbaugh rumors and all of that stuff going on. But I actually really like this hire in O'Connell. Mostly because, like a bunch of other people, everyone's like coming down from the same tree. Like you got Mike LaFleur, you got Matt LaFleur, right?
Matt and Mike,
both. Whatever. Everyone's coming down around that Shanahan tree, right? So I love this Kevin O'Connell hire. I think it's really good. And I think it's really good also because he's young, 36. I think the Vikings need some youth brought in to their program. And I think this also works as well with our GM hire as well. So that's Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Hopefully I didn't pronounce that incorrectly, but he is 40, I think. And he gave a press conference when he was introduced, and he said, I'm looking for a coach that will work with me, but who I also would want to work for. And I thought that was really cool and really powerful and a different thought process than we've had in the past as an organization. So I like the hire. He hasn't officially come out as the new coach because he's in the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Yeah.
But it's a good call, I think.
Matt, who do you like? Anybody tickle your fancy?
I mean, these are none of my teams. My team's set up the Packers, but I mean, just looking at the list,
bounced in the first round, Packers. Congratulations.
Well,
Aaron Rodgers building a house in Tennessee. You just know Matt's going to be rocking.
Hey, Matt Vrabel just got an extension, so
yeah,
he just got that today.
That's okay. But besides that talk, looking at the list of the hires, I'd probably think the Saints hiring Dennis Allen, who's been on the coaching staff, been under Sean Payton the longest. They probably have the most talented roster out of all the teams that are there, maybe the Dolphins. Now, I did see the news of the running back, Alvin Kamara. So we'll see what happens after that, after his incident after the Pro Bowl. With that, obviously
before the Pro Bowl, actually, he did it the night before the Pro Bowl.
It was Saturday. He got arrested Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Either way, so that's obviously big news, right?
Yeah.
Because they had Jameis go down last year. Obviously, Alvin Kamara is one of the best backs in the league. So the Saints are set up for success. Obviously, if Alvin can get through whatever he has, but they have the best roster. He's been in the league under Sean Payton for a long time, so he's got the best ability to make an impact and win games out of those coaches that were hired. So,
all right, Pat, we'll move on after this. What about your Texans? How do you feel about Lovie Smith?
This is just so bad. I mean, the Texans front office is just so bad. If the Texans had been like, David's out because Lovey seems like he's better, so we're promoting him and getting David out, I'd be fine with it. But that's not what happened. We fired David, and then all of a sudden we were going through coaching hires, bad interviews, not with good coaches really. And then all of a sudden we're like, Lovey's our guy. This is ridiculous. Sure, he's had a decent career, as in like, no, sorry, not decent, but a long career. But the dude, literally after he was in Chicago, he went to Tampa. He was 8-24 in Tampa, got fired. Then he went to Illinois and was 17-39 in Illinois. My head coach at the Houston Texans got fired from Illinois, and I am supposed to be excited about that. What are we doing? This is absurd. I'm just so pissed. I'm sorry,
that's fair.
Awful decision.
I'm kind of with Mark. I'm a Dolphins fan, so when I first heard the hire, I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know who I was going to be excited about other than Brian Dable. And now in hindsight, I don't really know if I would be excited about Brian Dable. I will say McDaniel has grown on me exponentially since the hire was made. He reached out to Tua yesterday, FaceTime Tua, talked to Tua about how his job is to bring greatness out of Tua. That's a great feeling, not only for a fan to see, but probably for Tua to know that a head coach actually believes in him and gives a crap. I hope that McDaniel doesn't hitch his wagon to Chris Greer and Stephen Ross, because I hope Stephen Ross is forced to sell the team because he's a moron, and the Brian Flores situation and the paying him to lose situation forces Ross out of Miami, but I don't know if it will. In the long run, I'm okay with McDaniel. Let's see how it goes. If he's there 2 years and he's fired after, wouldn't be shocked. So let's see. I'm going to give him a chance. I'm okay with giving him a chance. I don't know who else you were going to get in that was going to get me excited. So I'm okay with where we're at right now.
And I think the Pete Davidson comparison is only a compliment. Pete Davidson is on top of the world right now.
You're not
doing
wrong.
Great.
I thought about that when he said it, Pat. I'm glad you said it. Guys, I don't know if you saw, but Kyler Murray has removed all of his Arizona Cardinal pictures from his Instagram. He has 2 pictures up there. He has one with himself and then one with CeeDee Lamb. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. Anybody can jump in on this. What do you think is going on?
So I put a note in our outline about this, and I'll just say it too. This is the point where teams start negotiating extensions for their top draft picks going into their 4th year. So they start negotiating it now, and then after the 4th year, there's a 5th year option year where the player makes more money, but you have control over their rights, right? And I think this is a sign that negotiations have not started well. And Kyler doesn't want to end up in a situation like Baker's in now, playing through lame duck seasons on the back end of this contract because he's played hurt, because he's gotten hurt, and then hurt his earning potential later. Now, Instagram's dramatic. Who knows? But that's generally the cause of activity like this out of these athletes is, hey, you're insulting me somehow, so I'm going to delete all of this. That's where I think this is coming from.
Do you think we're all OU fans? Obviously, Mark is a ride or die Kyler guy. I'll go to you, Matt. Do you think he's earned enough for a new contract? Do you think he deserves one of those elite level contracts that quarterbacks are going to get?
I mean, in Cardinals franchise history, he's got the highest QBR at 93.9. He's an explosive playmaker, both with his arm and his legs. I think the biggest thing that has always been talked about with Kyler is his height and being able to throw off, above his offensive line. Now, he does lead the league in batted passes. That's just going to happen. But the explosive playmaking, the other QBs are out there in the league. I just don't know what you would expect to get in some kind of trade or you'd just be asking way too much, I think, for what Kyler brings to the table. And you obviously just got to the playoffs in his 3rd year. You're building the roster. You only want to keep him around to bring in other players, and hopefully D-Hop gets back and healthy. So I just don't know where they go from here. Obviously, like Mark said, it's a very dramatic move to remove all the pictures, but that only says that, it's obviously not going well to start for sure.
Matt made a really good point, and Ryan and Pat, I want your thoughts on this. He said, who are you going to go out there and get that's better than Kyler? And I completely agree. Like, people don't realize people want to make changes in the NFL without thinking what the better alternative is. They just think, oh, I want to change. Oh, I want a new quarterback. Oh, I want a new coach. Okay, well, who are you going to get? Like, do you think there's anybody out there that the Cardinals could even get that's better than their situation they have now?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins,
You could trade for you.
quick
That's
trade
right.
in for the Vikings because I want Kyler on my team. No, I mean, I don't think there's probably a better situation. And I'm curious, I don't necessarily believe this, but could this be just like a big PR stunt? I don't know. I don't think Kyler needs to do that, but is he sending a message, or is it just like he's trying to utilize his leverage that he thinks he has? And maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I mean, I think the Instagram thing is dramatic, yes, but it's obviously going to get people talking, and it has gotten people talking. And right before the Super Bowl, right when people are, negotiating contracts, like Mark said, I mean, there's a lot here that is kind of like unspoken and under the surface. But I would absolutely love the Vikings to trade for him. So,
You got anything, Pat?
that's all.
You guys covered it. The Cardinals are dumb here.
Yeah,
I
agree.
like Mason said, I'm a ride or die Kyler guy, but the last 3 seasons he has gotten hurt. And when they made the playoffs for the first time this year, he laid an egg. And I can understand why a team would be hesitant to give record-breaking quarterback money, because that's basically what you have to do. That's what every contract is, maybe short of the Mahomes deal, right? But close to it. I can understand why a team would be hesitant to give that kind of money to a quarterback who's 5'10" and has gotten hurt every single year. And I love Kyler Murray. That's just life in the NFL.
From a guy who's trying to get his second contract in the NFL to a guy who's trying to get his first, Winfrey looked absolutely dominant in the Senior Bowl last week. He won the MVP of the Senior Bowl. I will give credit to Gabe Eichert, who said on the Oklahoma Breakdown podcast that the Senior Bowl is the perfect environment for Winfrey, a guy who I don't think he said takes plays off, but is a very like short burst kind of guy. And those one-on-one sessions, Eichert said he's going to dominate, and he did. And he dominated, and that's what made him so scary. What did you guys see out of Perrion this week, and how awesome was it to see him do so well during that week?
I mean, this felt like it feels like a job interview, right? The job interview that he like crushed. And like, this is like this isn't the only step, right? There's the combine, there's other things other measurements. People are going to be really looking into his film from the past, years, and just kind of analyzing everything. He put himself on the map, which is exactly where he needs to be. So, I mean, huge win for him, but I also just want to make sure that, he's not going to probably listen to this, but don't take your eye off the ball, right? There's other things that are coming up. Yes, you're on top of the world right now and everyone's kind of looking at you, but I mean, Mond won MVP last year and the Vikings drafted him at QB and he sucks. So I just need he needs to, keep his eye on the prize. But I think what he probably did is he took himself from, a third rounder into a second rounder easy right now. And if he could just keeps amplifying that through the combine and through the opportunities that he might have, I mean, he could get to a first round.
Absolutely. He could. I've seen some things that have him as a fringe first rounder. So like a late first rounder. That'd be great for Perrion. Also would be remiss if we didn't mention Brian Osamoa, linebacker, former OU linebacker. He won what was it? It was his position. Yeah. Best linebacker on the national team. That's based on a team vote from the offensive linemen, the running backs, tight ends. So good for Brian Osamoa as well. But really, we see what these guys did in the Senior Bowl. Does anyone get extremely frustrated about what in the actual hell Alex Grinch and that staff were doing with those guys?
Yeah, blows my freaking mind. Blows. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, Perrion is a freak. I mean, his stature, the way he's able to move, I'm sure if people have seen the one-on-one, seen the tape from the Senior Bowl, I mean, he just explodes. And no offensive lineman could stop him. Nobody. But the way that Grinch ran his defense by doing all the doing all the slants and all that motion
and the rotations, the taking him out.
Yeah, taking him out.
So dumb.
It just took away from what Perrion could have done a whole lot more. And he still had a phenomenal scene, both him and Osamoa, both tackling machines. But when you're not giving Winfrey the chance to go one-on-one like he was doing in the Senior Bowl, it takes away his God-given ability.
I completely agree. Anybody else? Okay, perfect. I love it. Matt leaves him speechless. It's crazy.
He always does.
I know. We talked about it last week, but you wouldn't know. All right, guys. Brent Venables just continues to prove that he's a home run hire.
What a guy!
I mean, it's weird
so
to like
much.
you got to know the threshold to be like gushing over a guy and giving him credit where credit's due. And I think we're like at a fine line. But really, this week for last week for National Signing Day, Brent Venables had a press conference. It was over Zoom. He was talking to the media about National Signing Day, and the connection wasn't great. That's the year we live in, 2022. Connections always kind of suck. This connection might suck. I don't know. We'll find out. But he, instead of just being like, oh, too bad, sorry, that's what you get, he made it up to the media the very next day. And not only for about 20 minutes, 90 whole minutes, Brent Venables sat on a couch and answered any question that anyone had for 90 minutes. And if you averaged out his answer time, it had to be like 15 minutes per answer.
I think there was 9 total questions. And so an average would have been like 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
But obviously some are shorter than others. So, pretty crazy.
What do you guys, do you take any stock in this, Brent? And like I said, are we gushing too much over it, or are we giving credit where it's due?
I think it's really cool to see someone who is so genuinely passionate and thrilled about the opportunity they've earned, they've been given, that they just can't stop talking about it. Yeah. It's a lot like a dad who's really proud of his kid for doing something kind of similar, I guess, like just the way that he's gushing. He's talking about these recruits and about how he doesn't just want the guy off the field. He wants to help build the man off the field too. And it seems so real. And you hear from recruits' parents who are like, these are the kind of people you want to leave your children with. It's just really nice. It's really refreshing. It's a great change of pace.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
I would say he feels so much more relatable. And the way I mean that is not actually like, we're not head football coaches in college football, but he comes across so passionate and just so passionate. And I know the 5 of us on this pod are so freaking passionate about OU football. It runs our life for the majority of the year, but especially during the fall. I mean, this guy he just comes across, and you look at him and it's just like a light bulb, and he's just got so much energy, and it's so infectious, and he cares about this so deeply. And I think as a fan, there's nothing better to see something that you care about so deeply being taken care of and being led by someone who cares just as deeply as you. And I just think that energizes the entire fan base. It energizes everybody. I'm super pumped. I watched that entire 90-minute presser.
So did I.
Like twice.
I didn't watch it twice. I'll give you credit on that. I didn't watch it twice, but I definitely watched it once. I'll go through some of the highlights in case someone doesn't want to sit through it for 90 minutes. Look, Brent Venables said that they're going to buy suits for every player, tailored suits every year. And they're going to wear them to the games, and they're going to look sharp. And people who are thinking, oh, well, what about the Caleb Williams photo shoots and the Spencer Rattler stuff like that? Gabe Eichard, once again, on the Oklahoma Breakdown, made a good point. Alabama wears suits. Georgia wears suits. Where were those teams? In the national championship.
And they can probably like accessorize and stuff too, right?
I'm sure they can.
Like, they can
I'm sure
like
they
do
can.
their own thing. They can style, like they're just going to be wearing suits, which I think is great.
Exactly. Venables also talked about he tried his hardest to not have Jaron Kanak on the team, but Kanak loved Brent Venables so much that he came to OU anyway. Not really Baker Mayfield-esque, like he just showed up, but he basically said, I'm coming and I need you to be okay with it.
Well, he went to Dabo Swinney and got his blessing first, and only then would Brent take him.
Yeah.
Again, man, what a guy.
What a guy.
Amazing. What else we got? I wrote just again that he's a guy who practiced what he preaches. He cares about this program, and he cares about showing the world that he cares about this program, and just being there for 90 minutes and answering any and all questions. And look, I'm a journalist, and it's so nerdy when journalists go like, hey, thank you so much for doing this. Like, okay, I get it. Whatever. You need this for your content. I get it. But for Brent, after everyone said that, he said, absolutely no problem. He was so nice. Like, didn't even think about it. It's
90 minutes
crazy.
is a long time too. Like it's a lot of time to give for somebody who, you know, has just been on the recruiting trail, is taking over a new program, like transitioning everything out, pulling his stuff in. I mean, that is a lot of time to take away just to answer some questions. And I just think it's a great thing that, you know, him and the media get along, you know, our really our last coach, the media didn't really love our last coach.
No.
So it's nice to see. And just a real quick question for you guys. Do you think we're going to have open practices?
Ooh.
I don't know.
I think there'll be some. I think on the days of the main game planning, there won't be. I think like by the time they get to Thursday practice, when the game plan's already set and they're kind of just going through the motions, I think that might be open. But in like the beginning of the week, I just don't see it. Anybody else?
I think it engenders a lot of goodwill with media, like you're saying. I think it also engenders a lot of goodwill with OU fans like us.
Yeah.
Like our listeners in general. And that's pretty cool, because if anyone's not on board yet, I don't know how you're not after hearing him talk for 90 minutes the way that he did about this program and about what he sees for it.
Just for perspective, people who don't know how long 90 minutes is, picture like half of a Ryan's must watch of the week. That how long it was. Right, Matt? Right, man?
Good comparison. I've seen all.
Hey, Matt, what I talk about last week?
Man, you guys are really hitting me. You guys, you talked about the What If movie.
He pulled that out of his ass.
It's because he has the damn outline probably in front of him.
Oh, it's just the outline.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
That's good.
Okay,
never gonna hear the end of this one. That's for
also, also Brent talked about. He mentioned Adrian Peterson as a just add water kind of player, and he made that example as like when you get a brownie mix, all you have to do is just add water to it, and then it's good to go. He made that comparison as players, like when some players show up to OU, all you got to do is just add water to them, they're good to go. Like Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson showed up as a freshman, ready to be the best running back in the country. Go ahead, Mark.
He said that in contrast to some players who you need to water like bamboo, who they need the development, right? They show up on campus and they're not quite ready. I just want to point out the
You're right. And he made the example of Vic Beasley, correct? Was that who he said?
Yes.
Vic Beasley at Clemson
Beasley was a guy.
Needed 2 years to sit before he was ready to become an All-American and break Clemson sack records.
Right.
So,
he was playing other positions. He needed time to get right.
You're right. Thank you for making that point. So I thought it'd be fun, guys, for us to pick our just add water players of the century for OU, and that's the 21st century. So I started and I picked Orlando Brown Jr. as my guy. Patrick went ahead and took Joe Mixon. Mark said Samaje Perine. Matt said AD, Mr. All Day, Adrian Peterson, agreeing with BV. and Ryan has Kyler Murray. Or yeah, he has AD, but Kyler Murray has a close second. We're not going to pick the same guy. So you're going with Kyler Murray. Who has any objections to the list? Because I know some people do.
I have an objection.
I want
with
to hear
Kyler-
it, Pat.
With
Tell
Kyler
me.
Murray.
Tell me.
All right.
Because Kyler Murray had a year or so, I think a year under his belt at A&M, 2 years at A&M. So he
No,
1 year.
one at
Okay, sorry,
A&M.
you held up at number 2, so I got
You're good.
self-conscious.
Right.
You're right.
1 year at A&M to play college football. So when he came into the program, he had some experience, and then A&M messed everything up with Kyler Murray, and then he came to the University of Oklahoma. So I don't know if he was just add water. He was like, but at the same time, like obviously he was very naturally gifted.
I mean, the only reason that he didn't start for OU when he came in is because we had Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that he wasn't a just add water guy because he already had a year under his belt in college football.
I get what you're
That's
saying.
my
Pat.
contention too. Is he had a year under his belt at A&M where he threw 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and then he came to OU and had a year with the quarterback guru Lincoln Riley before he ever stepped on the field.
But he wasn't
I don't think that's a just add water guy.
Well, okay, so then are we counting out anybody who sat behind a position? Like,
Well, let's talk about my guy.
like,
I'm
Joe
about to
Mixon.
count out. I'm about to count out Joe Mixon for the same
like
reason.
so the way that I took what BV was saying is not necessarily like, I personally don't think Kyler Murray probably needed the year behind Baker, but he did because Baker was here and he wanted to be here with our old coach Lincoln Riley. I don't think he necessarily needed it. Kyler Murray is one of the most talented, probably the most talented person I've ever seen play at OU. And I think that means just add water. Like, that's the way that I took it. AD is an absolute freak. And he started, yes. And he's also probably the most talented running back we've ever seen at OU, obviously is. But he started because there wasn't as much competition. I mean, like, I think
started
it's
because he's Adrian Peterson.
well, but you can't, like, what I'm trying to say is Kyler Murray is so talented that I think you could have put him anywhere and he would have been fine.
As
Matt,
a
do you have
21-year-old.
Matt? Do you have any objections?
Not necessarily objections. I would just agree with Tyson. He's the most decorated high school football quarterback coming out of Texas, which is probably one of the most competitive states. I mean, the guy did not lose. He went 57-0 and won 3 state titles and one of the hardest places to do it. So he definitely has the decorations and the accolades coming out of high school, because that's what we're looking at. If you're that good in high school, you should be able to ease on into it. Now, A&M had a different system, had Kevin Sutherland as his head coach. I give him a little bit of reprieve there. Came to OU, sat back behind one of the best college football quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield. I get it. Listen, it's hard. Now, I do want to give some just great stats on my boy AD, because I have to agree with BV here. I don't know if you guys know what his freshman stats
I think we should do a poll and not put Matt's answer on the poll, because he's just saying what.
So I
Venables
would
said.
like everyone to know in the outline, which I wrote down my answer before Gan did. I say BV is right. It's AD, because yes, he is the best example of just add water.
Right. And
But
I think
then I have my second one.
Tell us why, Matt. Tell us why.
Yeah.
Go off, King.
Listen, I think mine was just more about, I just want to see how ridiculous Adrian Peterson was. So in 2004, his freshman year, his total attempts were 339 for 1925. That is an average carry of 5.7 and 15 total touchdowns. That is absolutely bonkers. His first game against Texas, 32 carries, 225 yards. Big 12 championship against Colorado, 28 carries, 172, 3 touchdowns. Insane. I mean, he was a man amongst boys. Now, that year was when we went to the Orange Bowl against Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, and we got totally killed 55-19, but we don't talk about that. But going on to his sophomore, junior year, still having great years there, obviously getting drafted 7th to the Vikings.
Skull.
Still, Hall of Fame career, and the man is still playing 15 years later. He's still in the league. I don't know if he'll get picked up this year, but the fact that he was playing in 2021 and still scoring touchdowns, I mean, the man's incredible, both college and professional.
I like what you brought to the table there. I agree with you, and I don't think anyone can disagree with that because he is AD and he is Adrian Peterson, and he's arguably the greatest running back in Oklahoma history. But for me, I kind of went a little off the beaten path because people don't really think of offensive linemen that much. You think of the names you hear a lot and the players who get to touch the ball. But really, for me, Orlando Brown Jr. was a freak of nature. He started 40 games. He was a first-team All-American in 2017, second-team All-American in 2016. And as a freshman, he was a freshman All-American in 2015. Two-time Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year. I think Orlando Brown Jr. just doesn't get enough credit. I think he's great. He's having a great career in the NFL right now. The Ravens got a steal with him after that whole nonsense in the combine his year about how he wasn't strong or couldn't do anything, like stupid. So the Ravens took him, had a great career with the Ravens. Now he's with the Chiefs, played fantastic for the Chiefs, was a Pro Bowler this year. I really like Orlando Brown Jr. That's kind of my guy. Also, folks, we want to know what you think. Who is your Just Add Water player of the century for the University of Oklahoma? Let us know on our Twitter page at the program. What did I say?
Mark, he hasn't been able to talk about.
I'm just not done.
We're not. No. We're not done.
Okay.
I'm plugging the socials. I need it because I
Plug the
forgot to do
socials,
it.
baby.
I forgot to do it at the beginning, so I want to make sure I get it in.
Please.
I told myself after each segment, I was like, all right, plug it after this. All right, plug it after this. All right, plug. So now I just remembered. But we're coming back to Mark. Remember to follow us on social media at the Program Guys with a Z on Twitter, at Program Guys with a Z on Instagram. Be sure to shout us out on our YouTube channel, comment on our videos. Guys, we're over 200 subscribers. Big shout out to you guys for subscribing to the pod. Really appreciate that. Be sure to follow, subscribe, follow, all that stuff on YouTube as well. Also, give us a 5-star review on Spotify if you got the chance. That's huge for us as well. Mark, take it away.
Samaje Perine is the answer if
He's a
you
freak.
cannot choose Adrian Peterson for this question. Dude came in as a 4-star running back from Pflugerville, Texas, and in 13 games, 263 carries, the most in the Big 12 that year, for 1,713 yards, the most in the Big 12 that year, giving him a 6.5-yard average, third in the Big 12 that year, 21 touchdowns, first in the Big 12, eighth in college football, and his yards from scrimmage of 1,821 was also number 1 in the Big 12. Dude came into college football ready-made and had his best year as a Sooner as a freshman and carried an offense that was helmed by Trevor Knight post-Sugar Bowl. Not the best. His coming out party against West Virginia is truly a where were you when this happened moment for Sooner
I was there.
fans. Oh
was
my
sick.
gosh, man. Yes, you
sick.
know what I mean then.
Yeah.
In a loud and packed house in Morgantown, because we know they get rowdy at West Virginia. They just do. Those guys, they know how to
Yeah,
they burn couches.
They burn couches.
They burn couches.
Thank you, Matt. That's right.
They burn couches. Playing in place of sophomore Keith Ford, Samaje Perine breaks out for 34 carries, 242 yards, and 4 touchdowns. If that was his coming out party, Kansas in the same season was his I'm sticking around notice. And a monsoon that had OU complete only 3 passes the entire game, Perine took up the charge with 427 yards on 34 carries and 5 touchdowns, breaking the all-time single game rushing record in college football, a record that stands to this day. Ultimately, between all of our guys, Orlando Brown's great. I have nothing to say against Orlando Brown. Joe Mixon's in the same class as Samaje Perine and has another year in the same offense working with Jerry Schmidt as his strength and conditioning coach. He got plenty of water. Kyler Murray worked with 2 different coaching staffs for 2 years before he had his 2018 amazing Heisman season. And Adrian Peterson. But Samaje Perine is your just add water guy.
So
Mark.
I agree with you, everything you just said. But one thing I do want to say is Perine declined every year after that. He was still great. I still love him.
And
Don't
I
get
think
me wrong.
I think you You're right. And I think the reason why he declined was because Joe Mixon came into the picture
And then Joe Mixon
right.
never had a year as productive as Samaje Perine freshman season was.
Yeah.
Correct.
I
I get
don't
what you're
know.
saying.
But
No, I get what you're
like
saying.
it's I think I'm taking like the just add water maybe thing differently.
It's
I don't
mean,
know. I
it's
just look
all
at it like from a pure like talent perspective.
it's all interpretive. It's all up to whatever. Pat,
but yes, I agree everything Mark.
Pat,
just
real quick, give me your Joe Mixon spiel. Let's hear.
No,
it.
I just feel like Samaje, he didn't start right away. So I don't know if he was just Adwater guy because Keith Ford was still our guy till that West Virginia game. West Virginia was not our first game that year. So if he was just an Adwater guy, he wasn't it from the beginning. And then secondly,
Adrian Peterson didn't start his first game, and
okay, that's fine. And
I know
second,
what you
this is what I'm talking about.
yeah,
though.
it's like it's interpretation. And secondly,
There's
if
so
Joe
much
Mixon
interpretation.
hadn't sat out that year, I think he still would have been as productive and as great as he was for the University of Oklahoma, just coming out as a 5-star. Like he had everything we needed. And if he did, I don't think Samaje would have been like, I think Samaje may have even transferred. Like, I don't know, because Mixon would have beat him out.
maybe, but I guess Joe Mixon should have
Well, okay. All right.
taken care of business and played that season. And Samaje Perine just took advantage of an opportunity that was given to him.
Sure.
All right, folks.
Great discussion.
Great discussion. I love it. Anybody else have anything to add real quick before we move on? We really got to move on, but anybody else have anything they want to say? Okay, now we pass it over to our OU softball liaison. It's Matt Gann. He doesn't show up for pods, but by God, does he love softball?
He shows up for them women.
He shows up for them women. Matt, tell me why Natties for Patty is about to have another one in 2022, my man.
Whew, let me tell you. Wow, guys. Listen, after a phenomenal last year, a record-setting year, ending it with Patty's 5th natty. Oh, gotta pull up the right numbers. Going for a 6th one. And let me tell you why. A lot of their offensive power, or offensive stats and lineups are returning. They got Allo, got Jennings, got Coleman, Kenzie Hansen, Grace Loyens, and my girl, Air Donu, who all coming back on the offensive side of the ball. Now, one thing that is going to be a little bit more of a weaker point is the pitching staff. We are losing the World Series MVP in Giselle Juarez, who, by the way, left-handed pitcher. OU typically wins with a left-handed pitcher. So obviously a big loss. And obviously Shannon Shale as well, who won 17 games for the OU women's softball last year. Now they do have one returning starter, Nicole May, who went 14-2 last year for the Sooners. But they do have the Gatorade Player of the Year coming in as a freshman, Jordy Ball, coming in to help back up and make that pitching staff a little bit better. But that is going to be the one weak spot of the Sooners and see how it unfolds throughout the year. So I do want to give one fun fact, though. Jocelyn Allo is 8 home runs away from breaking former OU Lauren Chamberlain's all-time NCAA record of 95. And just give you perspective, Jocelyn Allo hit 34 home runs last year. So she is going to absolutely crush this Oklahoma, or this home run record throughout this year. So they got the firepower, a little bit questionable on the pitching, should be good defensively like they were last year. And their upcoming schedule, they start at UC Santa Barbara here in 2 days. That will be their first game. And then they got invited to the Mark Campbell Invitational, which will be held in Irvine, California. Patrick, is it that close to you? Will you be going to see the women?
It's Irvine. It's 15 minutes away. I guess I
you gotta go.
You just man on the ground.
Oh, great! Can't wait.
He's man on the ground.
Some inside scoop.
Yeah, man on the ground.
Pat, wear your bucket hat.
Program
Take
guy
the
Pat
microphone.
reporting live in Irvine, California.
I need the inside scoop. So for the pod here next week, I know what's going on, but they are playing 4 different teams. They're playing Loyola Marymount, playing Mississippi State, UCLA, who they did beat in last year's World Series when UCLA lost to both us and Alabama and eventually got kicked out. But they are going to be a hot team coming into this year that can obviously take the crown as well. And then they're going to play UC San Diego. So 4 teams line up. Really looking for that matchup with UCLA again, because they're obviously a predominant team in the women's college softball series. So Patrick, give me the inside scoop. Let me know how
Can't
that
wait to
pitching
be
staff
there.
works.
Can't wait to be there.
Dude,
And, can't wait to hear
amazing.
the inside.
Amazing job, Matt. Amazing job. That's why you weren't at the
Thank you,
pod.
Matt.
And that's why you didn't have time to listen. You were doing all the OU softball research.
Took
You
a
know?
long time. Took a
And
long time. Let me tell you.
That's why. All right. We're gonna guys, we need to touch on this real quick because they deserve a shout out. The OU women's basketball team is absolutely dominating right now. They are 20-3. And folks, they are ranked inside the top 15. They are 12th right now in the country, and that is their highest ranking since 2016. We aren't going to go into big detail about this, guys, but got to be good to be the OU women's basketball team right now, because let me tell you, the men's basketball team, a bunch of bums. They are bad.
But we do love Porter Moser.
I love
do.
Porter Moser, and I believe in Porter Moser. I don't
Gotta
think
give him-
he doesn't have his roster yet, and I think
It's a time thing.
You're
Yeah.
right. I think.
Yeah.
you're right.
I mean, Jenny's able to do it first year.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, Jenny's
She's
a
raising
god.
the standard.
Jenny's a god. It's time for everybody's favorite segment of the week, guys. I don't know if you watched What If, but I did. Good job, Ryan.
man.
Very solid film. Very solid rom-com. Your analysis was spot on, and I very much enjoyed it. Good job. So you're 3 for 4 now. What do you got for us this week? Hit me with it, brother.
Before we get started,
Oh,
I always need to address.
why do you
know.
always have to have a disclaimer? Why can't you
Always
just tell me
another
what
thing.
to watch?
Because you guys keep giving me shit
I like
about my licorice pizza take. And licorice pizza was just nominated for Best Picture at the
You are
Oscars
not.
morning.
You're
Trying to justify that one.
no
Picture is different
So,
than like movie.
I
though.
am 4 for 4. Thank you very much. I
Get
am not 3
out
for
of
4.
here.
no.
The
Again,
Program Guys
Mark,
podcast
have you
does not
seen the movie?
endorse
Have you seen the
pedophilia
movie?
or images thereof
Have
That's
you
right.
Seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
Have any of you seen
because
the movie?
we don't endorse
Yeah.
depictions
You don't-
of pedophilia.
Don't end in divorce?
No,
I
we
just
don't endorse.
misspoke. Who? Come on, man.
Look, I will die on this hill, guys. I am 4 for 4.
You're gonna die
Licorice
alone.
Pizza was
You're gonna
I
die
don't
alone
care.
on that hill.
I have 2 dogs. They'll die with me, right?
They will
no,
not.
Sawyer does not agree
They will
with
not.
this. He's too good a boy.
Don't drag them in this. They deserve better.
Anyway, guys, we're 4 for 4. We're 100%. We're gonna go in the week 5, going 5 for 5. I've been going back and forth between movies and TV, and I'm gonna do it again this week. And we're gonna do something a little bit more mainstream. Shout out Matthew Gann for that term. We're gonna talk about Ozark on Netflix. So I think everybody on this pod has watched a bit of Ozark, at least. Am I wrong?
No, never.
I've watched a few episodes, probably.
Don't spoil it, please.
One episode, and then I didn't continue.
So this is good because this kind of gets into my barrier to entry. Okay, so Ozark is on Netflix. I'm sure most of everyone who's listening to this has heard of it. It's a very good television show. It just released its part 1 of its 4th and final season on January 21st. So just a few weeks ago, which is why I kind of wanted to talk about it now. So 4 total seasons. It's starring Jason Bateman, Laura Linney, Julia Garner. Great cast. And basically the plot of this is that a financial advisor who is in the business of laundering money for a Mexican cartel is forced to move his family from Chicago to the Missouri Ozarks in order to set up a larger laundering business for the same cartel. There, his family really gets in the weeds and engages with other local criminals, other drug dealers. There's mafias involved. Just a lot of stuff happening around Missouri, and or how they say it in the show, Missouri. And it's a really good plot, but I will say that the barrier to entry here is that it starts a little slow. So kind of like to Mark's point, he watched, I guess, the first episode and then don't watch anymore. The first episode it's just the exposition is quite slow. It takes a while to get going, but once you get to like the halfway point of season 1, it kind of like sinks its teeth into you and it doesn't really let go until then. And I think some of the high points here are, I say this quite frequently, but it's, strong performances. I think a lot of these really good television shows and really good movies, it's critical to have your main cast just basically performing their ass off. And that's exactly what's happening here. I mean, this is the best I've ever seen Jason Bateman, who is usually a comedic actor doing a very dramatic role. So I think when we first saw this, I was like, I don't know how if he's going to be able to do this or not. He kills it. Laura Linney, I think, is the MVP of the show. She's incredible. And then Julia Garner, who plays a supporting character named Ruth, is extremely good as well. And she was kind of an unknown before she came into this. But she definitely does a lot and kills a Missouri kind of redneck accent. She's great at it. So I think other high points, for me, this show gets better every season. It just like improves and improves. And it reminds me a lot of Breaking Bad in that way, where Breaking Bad, I thought, just gets better and better and better the longer it goes on. And that's like, for shows that we have loved in the past, that's something that Mad Men does this really well. It starts a little slow. Breaking Bad starts slow, but by the time you get up to like season 5, it's great. I think Game of Thrones did the same thing up until season 6, and then it fell off a cliff. But really, really good seasons of television. I think especially season 3 is some of the best TV I've seen in the past couple years, with some really, really great performances and really great directing. Season 4 is very good. Also, I just finished it today, or I finished part 1 today, but it's unfinished. So to be determined on where it stands in kind of the season hierarchy. What other things? Direction. So Jason Bateman actually directs a lot of these episodes himself, and he does a really great job doing it. This show has a very distinct style to it. It's very kind of like moody and grungy and just very muted, a lot of muted tones in the color palette. And I think it just does a really good job, keeping all those things consistent throughout all the seasons and the different directors that they have. Some fun facts: it's been nominated for 32 Primetime Emmy Awards, 2 Best Drama noms. It has not won, but Garner has won the last 2 years for Best Supporting Actress for her role. And then Bateman won a year for directing for a drama series. So great job, them. That's pretty much what I have. Ozark is incredible. It's really well done. Takes a while to get into, but once you get into it, you'll just keep watching it. And go watch it. It's on now.
Eddie Prince is probably a big fan of this breakdown because he's a big Ozark guy. So shout out to Eddie Prince listening.
Yeah, and it's funny because my brother used to live in Springfield, Missouri.
Oh yeah,
and he was living there when the show came out, and I was like, "Hey, is this like accurate portrayal of like people?" And he goes, "Oh yeah." He's like, absolutely. So,
funny story. We actually have a fishing tournament on Lake of the Ozarks this year. So
beautiful.
I am going.
Cool. It's
I'm
a
going
beautiful
to
show,
Lake of the Ozarks this year.
Lake of the Ozarks is beautiful. Like, it's a beautiful part of the country. If you haven't been, please go. It's great up there. But yeah, the people are interesting. They're different. So
that's right.
And I think this show does a really good job about kind of showing that.
Perfect. Ryan hoping to go 5 for 5, he says, but that's
I am gonna
not
go 5
true.
for 5.
That's like half of Texas A&M's claimed national championships. You don't get you don't get to call those.
Absolutely not. All right, Patrick, I'm feeling a little cold. I need some heat, brother. I need some heat, man, and I need the bucket hat. Give it to me.
Coming on.
That's right.
He has to cover up his new haircut though.
Oh, it's all right.
That's unfortunate.
It's a great
All
haircut.
right, boys. The bucket hat is on. Eddie actually gave me a shout out on YouTube about the bucket hat. She said you better keep it. So
that's right.
Yeah, Yeah.
That's right.
All right, guys. I'm getting pissed off, extremely irritated when I am scrolling through Twitter and everyone's like, here are the Heisman candidates for next year. And Dylan Gabriel is not one of those guys. So you tell me if this is a hot take or not, but Dylan Gabriel will be in New York this year. And I think he's got better odds than a lot of what people are saying. People are saying Bijan Robinson's going to be there. Absolutely not. Look, guys, Kennedy Brooks had more rushing yards than Bijan Robinson last year, and nobody was talking about how good Kennedy Brooks was. So
People forget.
You have got to be kidding me if you think Bijan Robinson's going to be there. Also, University of Texas quarterback, I don't know, that dude just transferred. What's his name? He didn't play last year, so I don't know his name because he didn't play last year. So I only know players who actually play. Ewers, right? Yeah,
I don't know how to say it, so
whatever.
Pat asked me earlier, and I couldn't tell him because I didn't know. Go ahead, Pat. Sorry,
dude didn't play last year. He plays for the University of Texas. He's not going to be there either. Same with Bijan. So that's not going to happen. I don't think Caleb's going to be there either. People are saying that. That's really pissing me off because he sucks. Yeah. I forgot who he was. But honestly, I think Dylan's going to be there. Pickett was there. Dylan's better than Pickett, in my opinion. Pickett was there last year. Pickett's gone now. I think Dylan takes his place of Pickett. I do think Bryce Young is going to win it again. I mean, the guy's incredible, but to say Dylan Gabriel's not going to be there is silly to me. So tell me, hot take or not?
I think it's a hot take, but I don't think you're crazy. For him, does he have a chance to be there? Absolutely, I think so. I think his familiarity with Jeff Lebby's system, and I think all the stuff that Luke talked about last week. By the way, check out our YouTube channel. Go listen to that interview with Luke Ketchuk from last week. Talks about Dylan Gabriel. Great interview, great 13 minutes of your time. So I don't think you're crazy. I think the odds are, who put those in there, like plus 4,000. Is that what it was?
It's 3,000 actually. I double checked.
3,000. Okay.
So
I don't think it's insane. I definitely think it's a hot take, but I don't think you're insane. So I'm kind of with you. I can be persuaded.
Plus 3,000 feels about right.
Okay.
Plus 3,000 feels about right. He's a just about guaranteed starting quarterback for a team that will have plenty of pedigree on offense and playing for an offensive coordinator that he has played for before and a system he's played in before. That said, there's a reason it's plus 3,000. Dylan Gabriel is the least talented OU quarterback since Trevor Knight. And that's just the truth. It's not, it's not to call him out. I'm very excited for the DG era. It's dime time, baby. But we've been pretty blessed at quarterback, and we'll just see how the year goes. I don't think he goes to New York this year.
Do you think he's less talented than Jalen?
Yeah. Jalen got to the SEC championship.
I've been thinking about that too.
Well, yeah,
Jalen's
he's like a completely different.
Dylan Gabriel
right?
didn't win the conference for UCF.
Yeah, and Jalen Hurts is being a serviceable quarterback in the NFL right now.
Jalen Hurts is starting playoff games in the NFL.
Yeah, but we don't know if DG is going to do that yet.
You're right. We don't. Matt, what do you think?
Hey, I'm just bringing it in for the argument, for the pod, for the content.
I'm taking the bird in the hand, baby.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, give some context. These are like early season Heisman odds that we're looking at. So they're going to be bound to change.
People are trying to make Texas relevant.
They are.
Right, like they do every year. Right, but just give you some context about what the top 5 people are currently at the top of this early Heisman watch. Bryce Young at the top to win 2 in a row, which winning 2 Heismans is not an easy task. Definitely can be doable. He's set up in the right position and in the right staff, and he's got plenty of offensive weapons to have another fantastic year. You got CJ Stroud at Ohio State. He was there last year too. Probably bound to have another good year. You got Caleb Williams playing the Pac-12.
We don't talk about him.
Yeah, playing the Pac-12 though. Gotta give him some credit. He's probably the most talented QB besides CJ and Bryce. And then they have Bijan and Quinn from Texas as well. So these odds are about to change. I mean, they, just to give you context, they had DJ from Clemson ahead of DJ.
That's a joke.
Dylan Gabriel. They also have Spencer Rattler, who transferred to South Carolina, ahead in the odds maker. So I don't put a lot of context into these. These are just the early odds.
Can I say something kind of off topic that I get the feeling worse and worse it's going to happen. I think South Carolina is really going to struggle next year. I don't think they're going to have as good of a season as they think they're going to have. I think Spencer will come in and will play well, and I think Austin Stogner will play well too. I think the hype surrounding South Carolina, I don't know. I love Shane Beamer, and I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't. And we're not a South Carolina Gamecocks podcast, but I've just seen a whole bunch of stuff about South Carolina, and watch out for them, the SEC East. Do we really think that team can compete with Georgia or Tennessee even? I don't.
I did my doubting of Shane Beamer last year or this past season, and I'm not going to this year. He's not beating Georgia. I mean, I'm not playing that game, but he could beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
How do you feel about that?
Hooker was actually one of the guys on there too. I was like, that's a stretch. I love my Tennessee, but that's a stretch.
That's right. And also, why every year, and it happens every year, why do people need Texas to be so relevant?
So
go, Mark. I'm sorry.
I can shed some light on the betting side of this.
Yeah, please do.
They put Bijan Robinson there with, high odds like that, even though a running back hasn't won the Heisman in how long? Derrick Henry?
Yeah, Derrick Henry. I was about
Derrick
to say,
Henry?
is he the last one?
I think is right. And they put Quinn Ewers there, even though we've never seen him take a snap of football, because there are lots of people who will bet on University of Texas players to win the Heisman. Okay. They put Caleb Williams there at plus 1,200 odds because there are now a lot of people excited about USC football who will bet on Caleb Williams. And they think, wow, plus 1,200, that's great. I'm going to throw my money at it. These are losing bets. But as long as people will give their money, Vegas is happy to take it.
Yeah. And I know this is Pat's hot take, but I might be coming in with a hot take too. It's better for OU football when Texas is good.
Agreed. It's also better when dummy Stuart Mandel from The Athletic isn't ranking OU in the top 25. I can't believe I didn't put that in there. And I can't believe I'm getting worked up over a way too early top 25 poll. But how much of an absolute moron do you have to be to not rank OU at least in the top 25? That is the biggest mouth breathing piece of journalism I've ever read. It's not even journalism. It's just a dude trying to get clicks. That's all it was. And Stuart Mandel and The Athletic, you should be absolutely ashamed for whoring yourself out for clicks like that. Pathetic.
If there's a listener out here that thinks that USC will win more games than OU next year,
take it.
Hit me up. I'll take that bet.
Straight up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Just like going back to the Texas thing really quickly, I think for us it's good when they're good because like we're moving to the SEC soon, but the past forever we haven't been playing these kind of teams with this kind of talent like Alabama and Georgia have. And when we have been playing them in the playoffs, we get smoked. And
debatable.
Well, debatable other than one game,
yeah.
Other than the Georgia game. That's it. But Texas has that talent, right? They just haven't figured out how to put it together. And I think like that is something that can be beneficial for us to go against teams with that kind of talent to kind of train us for that move to the SEC. Mark is shaking his head.
Mark,
yeah. Here's my thing. I want Texas to lose every single game that they line up to play because they are the University of Texas and because it hurts them in recruiting. And I think
doesn't though. It doesn't hurt them in recruiting.
Sure, it does.
They're like they have the fourth best.
I'm saying, look at it at a micro level, right? Let's say you're a recruit and you have coaches coming into your living room and you can look at the last 10 years of results from these programs. Now, maybe you still land on UT, but all you're seeing when you look at win-loss record is OU over here going to the playoffs every year, every other year, whatever it is, and UT not making bowl games and losing to Kansas. That matters. Maybe you still plan on
makes me
UT.
happy.
Why is
that
their
matters.
ranking higher than ours every single year?
$50,000 for every offensive lineman.
But that only started this year.
And Nick
More
Saban only
resources,
started giving an
more resources for their football program than any in the entire country.
I know. So what I'm saying, but these win losses, they don't really matter when it comes to recruiting.
And I'm saying the move to the SEC is going to make us less reliant on UT because we don't need them to help us carry the Big 12 anymore. Therefore, if all UT does is lose, all we do is gain, and we no longer care what their results are because it's not like we're worried about the Big 12 floundering when it comes to bowl appearances like we have been for the last, I don't know, since the Big 12 started.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you that when we move to the SEC, that's going to change. But like all we've had the past 20 years is Texas. So, I mean, I think historically and right now it's better when they're good.
Guys, it is February and we're getting fired up about college football.
No, wait.
Kinda-
I can't wait for this segment to come back up in December, and I'm right. And he's headed to New York City.
That's right. All right. So I'm about to take us out, but last thing we got was Pat's take, hot or not? Matt?
Based on the early odds, for sure. Hot take.
Hot take. Mark?
Hot take. If you believe it, Pat, throw $10 on it.
I'll do it right now.
Right.
It's right now.
Right. What'd
kidding?
you say?
We have this recording, Pat. So
Yeah. $10. Mark,
$10.
I owe you $10
Go-
if he's
go,
in New York, or if
I
he's
don't
not in
get
New
it.
York.
Oh, okay. To me
Work
right
on
now, deal.
No, not to you right now. What do you mean?
Sure,
No, if
but
you-
I just $10. $10. He's not in New York.
$10.
Deal.
Done.
Okay.
But
I think it's a hot take.
Odds that Dylan Gabriel's not in New York. I'll take that.
Ryan,
Me too.
you say hot take as well.
yeah, I think it's a hot take, and I think Mark's going to be $10 richer.
Okay. And that's a wrap on episode number 5. Folks, be sure once again to follow us on Twitter at the Program Guys with a Z. Follow us on Instagram, Program Guys with a Z. Find us on YouTube, the Program Guys Podcast. That is also with a Z. We have 200 subscribers now. Thank you to you. Keep on subscribing, liking our videos, commenting. We love to see what you guys are saying, getting involved. Remember to tweet us your Just Add Water Player of the Century for the University of Oklahoma. Tell us why. I'll put up a poll. See what people say. Put up a poll. See what people say. And yeah, be sure to follow us all on social media and stuff. And if you guys have anything that you want us to talk about in the next episode, let us know. Ryan, what do you got?
I have one thing. We have not followed up on who would you eat first poll, and I'm pretty sure Gan lost.
Yeah, Gan 100% lost. Gan, you would get
What?
in a second.
You'd get
Yeah, Matt,
feast
you would
on
get.
you.
Yeah, you would get eaten.
I mean, I know I'm a little chunky.
Just wanted
Come
the
on, guys.
follow up for the listeners.
Yeah,
you know?
you're right.
Since
Sorry,
Matt
we-
wasn't here
you're right.
last week.
Let 'em know.
We did. All right. Well, that's all we got. Pat, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.